video gaming phenomenon is continuing its unrelenting growth curve and is now estimated to be a $200 billion industry that is forecast to double during the next 5 years. It's generally being considered a heavily male-dominated world, both on and off the screen. With so much at stake in this massive marketplace, marketers and retailers should take note of some of the fascinating research coming out of the University of the Sunshine Coast that proves that current gender stereotyping could be very wrong. International business academic Dr. JACQUELINE Burgess is an enthusiastic gamer herself, and her PhD examined marketing video games. She joins us now. Now, Dr. Burgess, exactly did your research uncover?
So I had a look at a video game that has the very rare female player character. So it's a male-female character. Female character is the main character. And that is highly unusual in the video games because of what you said. It's considered to be a male-dominated leisure activity, right? And yet I found that male players really enjoyed playing as a female character. They found it just as engaging. They got involved with the narrative. And I still also found that 25% of my research participants were actually women as well. In general, statistics and research coming out of both America and Australia has found about a 43, 47, 56 kind of split. It's actually much closer than you would think. But my research examined what you might consider a much more dedicated game, something on console, something much longer. And yet we still found 25% of the participants were women. So a lot of, I think, surprising, things coming out. Men don't mind playing as female characters. Women enjoy gaming. And the men and the women in the study both played just as much. They had very similar, amount of times they completed the game, how much of the game they had completed.
So what does this kind of new insight, I guess, your research mean for the industry as a whole?
So the industry wants to continue to grow, right? All businesses, all industries want to continue to grow their consumer base. And one really easy way to do that is to make it a little more inclusive for women as well as other minorities. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you get rid of all your male characters or anything like that. It just means that you can take a few more risks. You might, be worried that if you have a female main character or even a main supporting character, that might not appeal as much to your male audience. But my research suggests that's not actually the case. So a few easy ways to grow that audience and make it more appealing and more inclusive. And actually, the male players found it not just enjoyable, they found it actually refreshing and different to play as a female character. Variety is the spice of life. We maybe need a little more spice, a little more variety in the video game industry while still telling all the amazing stories and having all of the amazing characters that the industry has produced over time.
So how much do you expect the demographics to change again if we fast forward another 5 years?
Well, we've seen demographics changing pretty quickly over time, relatively speaking. In Australia, the average age of video game players, according to research conducted by the IGEA, has crept up from about 24 to mid-30s over the last couple of decades. So that's a really big demographic shift. That's something too that the industry needs to keep in mind. When you're 24, maybe you're still studying at uni, or you've just started your first job, you maybe don't have a family yet, you've got much more time to play. If the average gamer now is in their mid-30s, odds are they've got a couple of kids and a full-time job, and where exactly does gaming kind of fit in? So those are some of the design issues that maybe some developers need to keep in mind, and maybe there's opportunities there for the industry.
So what sort of innovation as a result of what you were just saying there can we expect to see in the industry? I mean, are you talking about potentially games that take a much shorter time to play so that you could play on the way into the office or, in between packing lunches?
I think that's something that's already very successful and something the industry is doing. So you've got the Nintendo Switch that has been a massively successful console, and you can play all of the games on it handheld, like commuting to work, or if you have a few moments on your lunch break or whatever, or as a traditional console plugged into a television. So the hardware is another potential option there. Maybe more developers and more brands will be following the Switch example. We have some incredibly long games in the industry as well. How sustainable is that? as well. So there's lots of different innovations I think the industry is already tapping into, and it's going to be very exciting to see where it continues to go.
So what are the specifics then, Dr. Burgess? What will make a video game successful fast forward 5 years?
Oh, well, I think you can't go past a lot of your classic rules. Like, it's got to be fun. First of all, the actual mechanics have to be fun. It has to be enjoyable to play. There have to be really good stories. There have to be really good characters as well. That's a big appeal with video games. So a lot of the basics don't really change. It's about how do you do that in innovative, different ways that adapt to, say, changing lifestyles and changing demographics, and also new hardware as well. You know, we've got virtual reality coming off and really getting started with, you know, headsets advancing. So where is that going to go as well? It's really endless possibilities for the video game industry.
Exciting times. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Burgess. A real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Dr. Jacqueline Burgess with us there from the University of the Sunshine Coast.